skipper's done it. Beautiful chapter it is for the Bombers.
Well, Bomber fans, we're here at the Colonial Brewing Company, 89 30 Street, Port Melbourne. We've got a big treat for you, none other than the legendary Kevin Sheedy. How are you, Sheeds?
Very good. Great to be here in Port. Being an old VFA boy down in Port, feel pretty comfortable, you know, because tough area, Port.
You would have had
really
it
anymore though. We've got
I saw a poodle
Colonial
walk down.
Brewing
I saw a
Company.
poodle
We've got
walk-
the hipsters brewing beer.
gentrified.
I saw a poodle with a pink ribbon walking down the road in Port Melbourne.
What
I
would
mean,
you have 40 years ago? What were you seeing down here walking down the street?
Stolen it and dropped that poodle off in Toorak.
So
where
did
it should belong.
did you have a few tangles with the borough just down the road?
Mate, well, only with their fans, because
Yeah.
Tommy Hayfield was a legendary follower of Port. He went there every week after coaching Richmond, so we'd all go and watch Port a lot too. And because their committee down there was fantastic, the scones and cream, and so Maureen Hayfield, Tom Hayfield, a lot of Richmond players, we loved coming down here. You know, I'd go and see Pran play, obviously, but they were on always different days.
Massive week this week, country week, the big country game. You've been a driving force behind that. What have you been up to during the week?
Oh, well, I've been, all this year, I've been all over Australia, basically the last couple of years. Ararat, Ballarat, Penola. Max Bashir's 90th birthday in Adelaide, because I really eventually want them to have state of origin country played before this Essendon Geelong game in the next 3 to 5 years. Queensland, I went to Queensland, talked to 160 mayors of coastal cities around Australia that are really keen to get involved, possibly in the next couple of years. So I think it's a game on the march, to be honest.
Why were you so passionate to see this game get up?
Well, my grandparents and parents are from the country. I grew up in Chapel Street, South Yarra, so when you went back on holidays, you just couldn't believe how different it was to living in Melbourne. It's still the same. And I think that the country people do it pretty tough. I reckon that city and country people need to build bridges a bit closer, sort of, because I don't think, you know, kids these days understand the hard effort that farmers do to get their food on the table or in the refrigerator or in the cupboard. So, and of course the bushfires, and we lost so many people in bushfires and floods. And even like, we all tend to think it's just about Victoria, but really it's Australian country have 8.6 million people. And up at the Whitsunday passage where I was talking to the mayor last week in Brisbane, they've just been blown off the map. You know, so there's me, and a lot of the homes up there belong to Victorian people. So you just get to really understand what happens around the biggest island in the world.
How important has country Victoria and country Australia been to AFL football?
Well, I think country Australia, in particular, as well as the Vics, they would just produce prime ministers, great sport, men and women. Maybe you want to say Goolagong, or you want to talk about Mount Isa, where you've got the Shark. I mean, really, Greg Norman and Pat Raft to come out of Mount Isa. How does that happen? You look at Tony Lockett. I just said to Yala, the Minister of Agriculture, I said to her, look, could you possibly put a statue of Tony Lockett when you drive into Ballarat, because he's kicked the most goals. I mean, how long do you have to wait? Because in America, they'd have that statue there within 10 years after the person, you know, because I don't think Lockett's goals will ever get, you know, beaten, not the way flooding is and tactics these days. So you get around, you have a look, and you're going to add some advice. But bringing the game here and getting Geelong to the MCG is going to be, I think it's going to be super big.
So what's on the menu on Saturday night? It's a huge day, and festivities start pretty early in the piece. I think you can get down there mid-afternoon. There's
2 o'clock to 7.
Shearing a sheep or anything for us, Sheets?
Not this year,
Not
but
this year.
But I had one in the. I've done all that. I was up at
Milk a
Hamilton.
cow?
Been up at Hamilton. No, they have robots milk cows now.
No.
They have.
Really?
I could not believe I'm sitting there, and it was in Gippsland 3 months ago, and here is the robot coming in, and it actually connects to. I couldn't believe it, and it's true. So
I'll have them coaching footy size next week.
I'll let players are robots.
Well, I was going to say, Sheet, that would be the next one. The players are robots.
Let's robots are now, because they kick a goal and run off the ground. How embarrassingly dumb. Would
you have expected me to do that?
No. Scotty would be looking the other way. Lloyd would be saying, he'd be looking at the
Kick it to me again.
Lloyd would be looking at the screen saying,
So
how am I
watching
looking?
himself.
Look at the bar,
You'd be doing the hair.
You don't get one hair out of place.
And I'd be trying to get deeper and swap with Lloydie so I could have a better chance.
He wouldn't look.
No.
I'm putting the
Don't
centre
look
half.
towards the bench.
I put him centre half back one year. He won the best and fairest. He said, "Can I go back to forward line?"
That's a good point. I don't remember you ever being interchanged at any stage.
Well, back then you didn't get interchanged as much, but if you went there, you were there for a while.
I made him stand there 3 minutes. I rejected the rotation, to be honest. I thought, well, I just reckon before, and I know the people, the fans do. I was out at function last night, and I said, everybody put their hand up that hates a player running off the ground after kick a goal, and the whole room, 200 people put their hand up, and I got a photo of it in my phone, and it happens all over. That's one of the worst things they reckon's ever happened, and you'd never see Lockett versus, Ablett versus Salmon. They'd never kicked 24 goals between them. So we actually, just imagine if it was soccer, and Rooney kicks a goal for Man U and comes off. Mate, they'd shoot the coach. It's just ridiculous.
The country games, there's a special Essendon jumper that's been designed.
Grain of wheat,
yeah.
Well, I think that's...
I thought it was a New Zealand fern, to be honest.
That's okay. Well, I mean, until you actually know and then you understand the history of it. But basically, we're looking at different aspects of how you can connect with country. And to me, that was one of the easy ones, to be honest, you know. And I think, it's like, you know, the Indigenous boys doing their art for Dreamtime round, you know, and everyone's looking forward to that because, Wanganeen's been fantastic. Yes. His art's unbelievable, Gavin Wanganeen. And I think that, but that just like a sash connection is not that bad. You know, I really like that. And it's a bit of a different sort of thing. We've been wearing the same jumper for, 140, well, it's going to be, 150 years in a couple of years' time, isn't it?
Geelong's a pretty obvious opponent too. Obviously, they're a virtual country team within the AFL. And
I was talking to Colin Carter last night. 85% of the history of players at Geelong come from the country. Regional areas of Australia. 85%. Now I know they're in the country, but still 85 is a hell of a lot.
It is incredible how many country footballers, if you look at the population, have played AFL. And I want to ask you, Sheeds, about your top 10. I want to ask, was it an easy decision to have Coleman as one? Was it an obvious, or did you think about that for a while? And who was the player or players that you would have loved to have got into that top 10 but just didn't quite make it? Because I know you always had favourites that might not necessarily have been based on ability, but the role that they played for the team, I know you always loved them.
You're fishing for compliments here, Scotty.
No. I
the boy from Camper
No.
I really struggle to put left footers in.
Yeah.
But look, it was difficult because I've been involved with Richmond and Essendon, but Geelong have had a big lick of the ice cream for the top 10.
Yeah.
So I think 10 was Greg Williams. He was probably lucky to get in because of the other boys that missed out.
Who were the couple that missed out?
Michael Tuck. Yeah. He's played the first over 400 games. Captain of Hawthorn, premiership side, 7 premierships, something like 11 grand finals.
Berwick, Michael Tuck, Berwick?
Yeah. Plumber.
That's hardly.
He's very unlucky.
Is he captain of the best team of era? If you look at over the years, is it Hawthorn of the 80s?
Mate, probably I'd say he would have been because the Hawthorn sides were sensational, as we know, because we're actually the only club that beat them twice.
Got them twice.
He'd be captain of the best team, best players never to win a best and fairest. He was a runner-up to Lee Matthews about 7 times.
Mate, this guy,
he's a bees off being a 6-time best and fairest winner,
absolutely.
but for the close to the best player ever to play the game.
Lee never got injured. He just got outed, even suspended off the list. But I think he was unlucky. Bernie Quinlan's very unlucky. Great player. Bernie Quinlan. Tim Watson, obviously, 3 premierships, 4 best and fairest, come back out of retirement and plays in a premiership. So these sort of play. Barry Hall. Could play Barry Hall. So when you keep looking back at all of these sort of the next 10, I'm glad I didn't have to pick a team because then you have to place them. But I pay a lot of respect for goal kickers, where I don't think many coaches and clubs have. There's not many forwards win best and fairest. I don't think Tony Lockett won a best and fairest at St Kilda.
Really?
I'm just saying to you. Yes. Then it was Adam Goods, Francis Burke. Doug Wade is a great player. 1,057 goals and played in the mud all his life, you know. These players.
He's not often spoken about.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
See, now
because I
that's
was a Geelong supporter, and we all know Ablett, Dunstall, Lockett is the 1,000+, but Wade's one of those as well.
Yeah.
You don't hear him talked about in the same breath. Yet he should be.
But he's got to get there yet.
He's still got 250 to
catch
go.
up. Yeah,
and that's how
highly
we rate. Yeah,
he was still doing it well into his 30s, Wade, and his last game was a winning grand final with North Melbourne.
Well,
so
he played in a premiership in '63, and then won 12 years or 13 seasons later for North Melbourne in a premiership. And, you know, like...
He played well, didn't he, Shoots?
Yeah.
He nearly got dropped for that grand final, and then they played him as a...
I think Barassi was set the torch on him.
Oh, you reckon he's put a bit of
I've done
mayo
a little
on
bit of that
story,
myself,
yeah?
I must admit. I think I had a soldering iron on Joe Watson when I left this, and I just put a little zzz, you know, make sure that...
Well, it worked. It worked. It certainly sparked him into action. No, just a quick one off the top of my head. If you picked a best country team against a best city team, who'd win?
I don't look at that. Oh, it'll be a great game. I don't know.
You haven't picked one ever, and
I pick a lot of sides. Yeah. I mean, I picked my best team at Essendon. It's never played 100 games, which is a magnificent side that's never played 100 games. I did it at Richmond. I look at it and say, well, gee, these guys are very like premierships. You had to be in premierships or grand finals or a best and fairest or a cap, something like that. Like Moss, never played 100 games. Graham Moss, John Coleman, never. You know, Leon Baker, Paul West.
Play 100 games?
No, 98. Yeah, he sent half back. Don't worry about it. Neil Danaher.
Leon Baker, my favourite Essendon player. Sorry, Scotty.
The guy called Graham Beisel and Bob Shearman both played in premiership and the grand final. Now, you won't know them because they probably played 45 games, but they're sensational players. I mean, they're as good as players I coached.
It wasn't your hero, was it Shearman or Bluey Shelton?
Bluey Shelton and Jack Clark. Yeah, Jack Clark was a superstar. Bluey was just a ruthless Dean Wallace, and Bluey Shelton should have been living together for years.
I was just thinking of a team of Sheedy's favourites, Wallace, Merritt. Who'd be the other?
I don't think Buick was in there, was he?
What about Lucas?
What about Lucas? If you said
too nice, we were.
If you know, I think I was harsh.
Harvey'd be in there.
I think I was harsh on Buick.
Why?
But I don't know why.
Red hair?
No. I'd had Moorcroft, you know. Barnard. But I just reckon when I look back and realise how good Buick was, I reckon that I was probably too harsh on him, to be honest. Yeah. And I've never said it to him, so I'm just saying if you happen to be listening, sorry, Darren, but I'll go and see him one day because. I mean, he come back.
Tough position,
he's come back.
Wasn't it? Such a tough position for
because you man up, you pick up. Now they just pick up. Anybody picks up your man.
Whoever's closest.
Well, as you know, Shoots, the famous '93 premiership win wouldn't have happened without Darren Buick kicking 6 in the preliminary final.
Well, don't forget in the end that he also kicked 4 in the '93 game with Salmon and Ablett.
The Ablett Salmon game. Yeah.
So it's sort of like saying, you know, when people say Cowboy Neil, he's played, great player, South Warrnambool I think he was, another great player from the country.
Kicked 5 in the '66 grand final, no one talks about.
Very bright. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
You would be flat if you kicked a handful and
no
one remembers that.
What did I do wrong?
Well, look, we could go another 3 days really with this discussion. We've got to wrap it up. Country game, it's a big occasion for football in general, but particularly for Essendon people. So get down there nice and early, some great music, great family fun to be had before the evening game against the Cats. Hang around those Shoots because we've got some big searching questions for you off Twitter.
What have I done now?
Just got to answer that. Face the music, Shoots.
I don't like this.